How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another video. It seems Sony's situation is going from bad to worse and things are just not going the way they want it to go. It looks like just bad news keeps propping up for Sony, and the Bungie news, even though they are now trying to mask it behind it had nothing to do with Sony, it pretty much did have something to do with Sony, and we'll be going into that as well. FireSprite is also in a bit of, turmoil as they are now trying to figure out a way to leave Sony, it seems. At least that is what I'm understanding. But, for those of you that don't know, it looks like my channel has finally been completely demonetized. And it seems like their constant harassment with me using copyright-free music. I've actually gone and spoken to a couple of places who provided me with their music. So they're giving me permission and it's royalty-free, copyright-free, and I was still being demonetized for those videos. Well, not copyright stricken, but just copyright claimed, and now they've done this, so I really don't know what's going on, whether people are basically claiming my account or falsely reporting me. I just don't know at this point. It's a bit of a problem because at this point I'm no longer monetized on this channel, so we'll see how it goes. But first thing first, let's get on with the video. And as we can see here, DPJ says, utterly disgusting behavior by Bungie if true. But yet I sit here and can't say I'm surprised. They do all these great things in support of other causes, yet do this to their own. It just goes to show it's just a corporate money-driven company which latches on to the popular trends to try expand the false light they want to try and beacon. After all, they're always talking about the light and how they're all together, how they're a family, but they're not, the higher up brass aren't shy of going to their employees and actually stealing their bonuses, right? And that's basically what's been happening here. We're going to get into that in just a sec. That beacon is now being cleansed day by day, and by the end of all this, I predict the company will be nothing but ash, and I can't say they don't deserve it. Now you can see here from Paul Tassi, he says, let's bring this up. The layoff decisions came directly from Bungie management, not Sony. But there is a catch here. This is not about Sony replacing Bungie employees with their own people. So that's fair. Many employee benefits, though not health insurance, only last until the end of the month, if you're let go. Laying people off on the 30th means a single additional day of coverage. Many employees had unvested shares as a result of the Sony purchase. So when Sony purchased Bungie, Sony basically gave them some shares which basically were unvested, and they needed to be employed, stick with Bungie for a certain duration before those shares would actually materialize into money that they could actually claim. And I believe that was by the end of this month. These shares would be received based on staying with the company for a certain number of years following the sale. But those shares revert to Bungie if you leave, even if you're fired, which is what's happening now to many of those affected. So essentially what Bungie is doing here is firing these people so they can take that money for themselves. The CEOs wanted that. And we've already heard that a lot of that 3.6 billion went to shareholders, and the CEOs, they got a really healthy package, whereas the staff got feck all. And this was what the staff was relying upon to at least make that transfer worthwhile, and they got shafted even for this. And as you can see here, this is the bit I was talking about. Additional, this may be a part of wider cost cutting at Sony in multiple areas, but as an independent entity, who gets cut, the timing and terms as above are Bungie's decision. So what he's saying here is it was Sony's decision to make the cuts, but who gets cut, how they get cut, and when they get cut, they left all of that dog work to Bungie. They made Bungie look even worse than they already are. And of course, people now are asking for Pete Parsons' job because my dude is he's just pulled off one of the greatest heists of all time, pretty much on the scale of Ninja when he did it to Mixer. Now, if we come over here, Ginger Prime says the loss of health insurance and the non-vested shares are the most hard-hitting gut punch out of this list. If this is Bungie I've been supporting with my money, then it's time to take that money elsewhere. Remember, no one is coming to save you. Work hard and pay off your debt so shit like this stings less. And of course, I've been saying that Bungie has been in a downward spiral for years. They don't give a shit about their consumers. They don't care about their employees. All of this talk about, oh, we're inclusive this and we're including that, it's all for PR. As we saw with Insomniac Games, where they turned around and started to, including LGBTQ content in Spider-Man 2, which I've got no problem with, but then they go to the Middle East and they take out anything that's LGBTQ related because it won't sell. At the end of the day, they know adding LGBTQ in, the Western markets will sell, but in the Eastern markets, it won't sell. So at the end of the day, all of these companies are just trash. All they care about is money. And if going against, they have no ideals. So all of these people that come out and say, oh, we believe in this, we believe in that, do not believe them for a second. I don't care how many times they can come out and preach it. They can prove to me that they mean it when it actually affects their bottom line. And just like we saw with Sony, with Spider-Man 2 in the Middle East, where it would have affected the bottom line, there was no chance that they would allow that. So out it went. No ethics, no morals, no nothing. They didn't give a shit about any of that. So it's really sad to see that Bungie has fallen this far down. But my God, what a company. What a way to actually destroy your reputation in 1 week. Over here you can see McQuack saying, yeah, F Bungie at this point. I stopped playing Destiny months ago after Lightfall, and I'm happy I didn't pre-order the next expansion. I'm not going to pre-order it either. They completely lost their spirit. Bungie also laid off Lorraine McLeese. Absolutely effing shameless. Zero respect for the people who made and continue to make their studio what it is. She's been there for quite some time and has been, one of the forerunners. I mean, Michael Salvatore was let go. He's been there since Destiny 1 doing the OSTs, the music, the soundtracks, everything. He's been the mastermind behind it. And even he was let go. As you can see here, hey, you know what isn't going to raise low player satisfaction and Final Shape pre-orders? This news, right? Also, you fired 100 people in a terrible way. You didn't think the full picture would come out soon after? It's pretty awful what is going on with Bungie and Sony at the moment. And let's just say that I'm pretty sure, I'm going to say if, right, Sony were the ones to instigate the actual losses, the job losses, and then said to Bungie, we don't care how you do it, we just want you to get it done. I'm guessing right about now, Bungie is regretting that decision to become non-independent all over again. Like I said, they're not as independent as people thought they were. They still answer to a higher calling. This is a wider Sony problem. The gas bet and the investment in VR and the Xbox fight and all the rest, Bungie chose these cuts and how to do them badly. But Sony is facing clear headwinds. Spider-Man PS5 sales aside, larger issues are going on here. Some further context despite the recent success. And we can see here, everything I've been saying about Sony's games and network service profit margin is unfortunately coming true. A business entity posting record revenues only to drive a shrinking operating income in comparison to previous results. It's not a good look to investors. It screams costs are out of control. Before you say it, this is an industry problem, not just Sony. Now you see Sony trying to right the financial ship. Layoffs, high margin products. As of close March 31, 2023, Sony's games and network services OP income as a percentage of net sales had fallen to 6.9%. Keep in mind, in 2022, it was at 12.6%. It did take a little decline from 2021 from a 12.9%, but still, it was in double figures. Now, bear in mind that the net sales for Microsoft and Xbox is over 9%. So Microsoft is actually doing a lot better right now. Not that that's anything to boast about. In quarter one of the current financial year, closing March 2024, games and networks sales had posted OP income as a percentage of revenue 6.3. So it's the decline is continuing. Their forecast for the current fiscal year is only 6.4%, the lowest since 2017. It's not great. It's not great at all. But of course, we have Reforge Gaming here, who on his podcast today turned around and said, I am not going to be talking about the Bungie stuff. I don't like Bungie. I'm not going to talk about it at all. Not at all. And he actually berated his chat today in actually what it was. And I'm saying I'm not going to talk about it to now parading it. Can Reforge actually get any more shallow? Jesus, this dude needs reality check. According to a source in the know about the Bungie layoffs, it had nothing to do with Sony. Now he's coming out and talking about it because it's got nothing to do with Sony. I mean, how much of a shill is this guy? How much of a, pony arsehole is he? A lot of rumor spreading smear merchants look very foolish right now. It's not, because Sony's the one that told them, you need to lose these members of staff. You need to lose X percentage of staff. We need to recoup that money. How you do it is up to you. He's wrong here. And, the fact that he couldn't even look at a post below to see Paul Tassi actually correct himself and, shift the blame towards the right direction is crazy. He took this and saw this as a win and went, fuck you, mate. That's it. This is what I was waiting for. Yeah, baby. That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly his reaction at the time. And now he's got egg all over his face. Capitalizing on the layoffs to paint Sony is in trouble. Sony is in trouble. They are making less and less money every year. This year, they've made the least amount of money in terms of profits since 2017, and their projected is only 6.4%, which is, again, less than 2017, whereas Microsoft at the moment is at 9%. You tell me the maths, but it doesn't just end there, does it? So we've got this over here. Okay, what the F is going on with PlayStation Studios? It seems like none of them, except Insomniac, are happy there. Now their VR studio saying things went south after the Sony acquisition. And here is the full story over here. So let's get that translated. This is the FireSprite. FireSprite, yeah. So as we can see here, the crisis in PlayStation Studios, the newly acquired studio FireSprite, is also in trouble. Through comments on Glassdoor, News, LinkedIn, there are quite negative things about the current state of the studio. Management since Sony took over is terrible. The acquisition of Sony has negatively affected many departments. Since the acquisition, they have lost over 100 employees, and the FireSprite culture has been dismantled piece by piece. Sony implemented a hiring pause and caused many employees to suffer complete burnout. This is essentially what you call crunch, and basically working people down to their bone marrow in order to see how much they can push them before they mentally break. I've seen this before because where I work, like my actual 9-to-5 job, is doing the same thing to us at this point, where we don't hire anyone, and every time someone leaves, they just keep on squeezing us until we eventually mentally break. This is exactly what Sony's doing right now to their studios. The founders abandoned ship after getting their golden parachutes. Of course they are. They got their money, they left, they don't give a shit. Projects that are understaffed and often poorly managed. Projects are in development hell. Chaotic production in almost all projects, which resulted in wasted time and people running around like headless chickens. Management and many employees have limited experience with Unreal Engine, and a certain project suffers as a result. Peter Ellis, the former Naughty Dog developer who went to FireSprite to work as a game director for their narrative horror game, left FireSprite this month. Even he couldn't take it. He was like, man, I got to quit the job on Naughty Dog. This looks like a really good opportunity for me to shine. He goes there, like, F this shit, I'm out. It doesn't sound good at all. Info collected by the user, St. Elmo's Fire. We will go into depth today in video, but it is very serious. So even FireSprite is a thing. But it's okay, folks, because Reforge Gaming has said that everything is okay, folks. It's got nothing to do with Sony. As long as it's got nothing to do with Sony, screw all those other departments that work inside Sony, like Bungie, FireSprite, and anyone else. It doesn't matter. What matters is my precious Sony, my precious company, the one that I shill and love for, is going to be okay. I mean, these people should be ashamed of themselves that they are still standing by and not calling out what they were doing. When the price hike was announced for the Series X in Brazil, I saw so many people, all even like diehard shills for Xbox, calling out Microsoft and telling them what you're doing is wrong, telling them that this isn't right. But you will never get a Sony shill turn around and say, Nah, man, what you're doing is absolutely horrendous. I mean, even the Red Dragon posted, and the first thing he posted in his post was how he pretty much just dunked on Xbox for about 3-4 lines, and then said, "My heart goes out to those that lost their job." But he couldn't actually say it without dunking on an Xbox to make himself and reassure himself. And these dudes are just pathetic, like literally pathetic. But that's the video, folks. I hope you've enjoyed it. We have a couple big videos coming over the next day or so. I'm hoping to get those out. I'm hoping to stream tomorrow over at the Chaos Lounge so we can cover a lot more of this news and other stuff. But yeah, I am currently demonetized, so we'll see how that goes and what it plays out. I'm hoping to hear from YouTube tomorrow. So fingers crossed, send your good wishes, and hopefully this can get sorted out in due course, because this is getting silly now. Right, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Remain legend.